Hello and welcome to Paving the Way podcast. I'm Seth Amoa, aka SA. I'm here with Kenny Jean-Louis, also known as KJL. And today we're here with someone special. When I was young, I used to just get buckets. You know, never stop getting buckets. It's complete score all around the hoop. Without further ado, Mr. Olivier Hanlan.
Merci. Merci Olivier d'avoir accepté l'invitation. Qu'on pense à des talents qui ont paved the way au Québec, c'est pas juste des personnes de Montréal. Toi, tu es un bon exemple qui vient de Gatineau et tout, puis qui a paved the way, qui a été NCAA, qui a fait des big things. So, on va parler de ça, puis je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de personnes qui vont apprendre de l'interview. So, merci encore.
No, appreciate you guys having me. Like I said previously, I've seen a couple of guys, Kenny, Cammy, a whole bunch of guys on the show, and it's kind of unique how you guys are doing it, but, you know, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks. So first question is, why and when did you start playing basketball?
So I started playing basketball around the age of 6, I would say, in the Gatineau area over here. I remember my dad had put me in a couple of different teams in a couple of different leagues and would lie about my age for me to play with the older guys. But, you know, I've been starting around that age.
Yeah. And did you, I guess from the get-go, did you always want to play competitive basketball, or was this more for fun?
No, I feel like my dad played for Ottawa U over here, right? So just growing up and seeing him play, and after that, I have a basketball family, right? So my brother played, my sisters played, so everybody, it was just kind of a family thing. A lot of people played, so I don't know. I feel like once you start young, you're pretty competitive, and it just kind of goes from there.
Okay. And then your first team was Grande Prairie. When was your first real team?
My first team, no, I played high school over here. I played high school over here for Grande Rivière, but before that, when I was a lot younger, I used to play for Dragon Daouet. That was like a Gatineau, kind of an organized team and hall around here, and they had stuff for, you know, extremely young kids and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure I started over there, and after that, I kind of built my way up to, you know, Benjamin, Cadet, and after that, I would play that league that we would sometimes go in Montreal and play that Montreal league, and also I would play the local league with my French team, Grande Rivière, so my high school.
And I remember you were playing guardsman, right?
Yes.
So
how
was that experience?
That was good. So ever since, like, I feel like most hoopers when I was younger, there'd be a lot of competitive guys in Montreal, and obviously a lot of competitive guys in Toronto. But in the Gatineau area, it was a little more slower. So after me playing a couple years for Les Dragons, and my high school stuff was not that competitive, you know. Sometimes the high school league is not that competitive. So I think I was playing Juvenile Dura, and it's pretty easy for me. But after that, I did the transition to go to guardsman, you know, and that's like kind of a team that was kind of run by Carleton, and Carleton's been, you know, a crazy powerhouse for the last 20 years, let's say, you know, winning every single championship and stuff like that. So it was kind of a program related to that. And Dave Smart used to be kind of overshadowing everything. So he kind of brought me over there, and it was good, you know, because guys over there were extremely competitive, and we started playing in some leagues in Toronto. And after that, we had some tournaments in the States. So it was good to go from the Gatineau stuff that became super easy, I would say. And after that, go to that was kind of like a smack in the face at first, because so many guys were a lot better than me, but it helped me for sure.
Okay. Did you decide, is that something you wanted to do, go there, or did you want to come to Montreal and play in the league here?
I think the Montreal stuff, it was more for like the CJEP side of it, right? So whenever I started getting around Sondal 5 and stuff like that, I started thinking about, okay, am I going to do CJEP, or let's say go to the States for prep school and stuff like that? But before that, I was pretty much just kind of over here playing on the Gatineau side, playing with the Dragon de Hull. And after that, when I started playing the guards and stuff, it was pretty competitive, right? Because we got to play against a lot of U.S. competition, and we got to play against a lot of teams in Toronto. And Toronto had some pretty big-time teams over there. So I never really thought about going to Montreal at like an early stage. It was more closer around when I started graduating.
Okay. Because I don't know if you remember, like, for sure you remember, we played together on the U17 team with Team Quebec, and I guess you were good. But the next year I went to Champlain, and you were playing for guardsmen, and then we had a tournament at the Sun Youth tournament, and then I was like, damn, like first half you have 20 points, and me and Kewin is thinking like, hey, that guy was okay. He was all right, but it was not that good. Then second half you have another 20 points, and then I was like, damn, what you did during maybe that summer or that 6 months for you to be, I guess, all right, to now you're like better than everyone, and you're a star. You were killing Simon Bibo, you were killing Adam. I was like surprised. So what did you do during that time to, I guess, get better?
Yeah, I just feel like that Team Quebec thing was like a big part, you know, in my like just basketball career in terms of like sometimes you're in Gatineau, you guys are used to being in Montreal, and there's so many good players, right? Okay, yeah, I would say like when I started playing 14 Quebec, that was a big summer for me, right? Because most of the team was mainly Montreal guys, and you guys had a lot of good guys. So I was kind of the outsider, and you know, I came to the tryout not sure if I was gonna make it, and after that, I ended up slipping on a team, and after that, we ended up having a pretty good. We ended up winning it, so it gave me a lot of confidence to just go like, you know, just confidence in the next year. Where during that year, I was just super focused, and sometimes when you're playing in leagues, which is like if you're playing in Montreal, right, you have so much competition. There's so many different guys to go up to, right? And sometimes when I was playing over here, you kind of get complacent a bit, you know? It's like I was always the best guy on the court when it comes to like the Gatineau area stuff. I was really scoring a whole bunch of points. But that first summer, it really gave me a chance to really test out like my skill. And I was not the best guy on that team, obviously. But, you know, that next year I was super motivated. And after that, I started playing with the guardsmen and just kind of every year I was just trying to add a couple things to my game, right? And you know, it was pretty easy sometimes playing against somebody like Kimmy. Kimmy was, you know, the best during that time. And in terms of just growing up, he was scoring a whole bunch of points and just kind of being able to compete against him, against Kenny, against a whole bunch of guys, you know, against you, against a whole bunch of guys during that team just gave me confidence whenever I went back home. And I was just crazy motivated, you know, and after that, when I started playing guardsman, I was super motivated, and I was so excited about that tournament because I wanted to play Champlain so bad, and against so many people, you know, because it's like, all right, I'm not really playing with you guys, but I'm playing against you guys, so it was just a chance to, you know, really express myself.
Okay. At guardsman, how was it being? I guess, like you said, Dave Smart was overtaking the whole program. How was it being coached by him or taking his insights in basketball?
Yeah, he's extremely good coach, you know, and he's one of the best coaches in Canada. And after that, you can even go with the States and Europe. Obviously, he's in Canada, but in terms of like the way he thinks of the game and just his process in terms of just the whole basketball overview was super, super good for me. And just the fact that he was so focused on like the university guys and winning a whole bunch of championships and still having to focus on some of the young guys like me, enabling me to come to sometimes during the summer times we'd have like scrimmages over there, and I was super young, but I was going up against some of the guys on the team. You know, I was getting beaten up pretty easily, but I would go against guys like Osvaldo and stuff like that, and just being around those people really just gave me. I feel like sometimes when you get to a point in a career, it could be very young or very old, and you start being the best player. Sometimes you get complacent, right? But if you kind of force yourself to put yourself in positions where there's people better than you, it's going to help you get better.
Okay. And were you thinking of maybe going to Carleton, like the fact that they really help you, or because I know after that you went to the States, so were you thinking of maybe going to Carleton, or your mind was, you know what, I'm going to go to the State right after that?
Yeah, I feel like at that point it was more like I used to always play in like the Gatineau area, right? So the Gatineau area, I played in Montreal with the Team Quebec stuff, and after I started playing, I got a chance to play with Team Canada. But the very popular thing was to go to the States, you know, and instead of my dad, I don't think my dad didn't really want me to go to CJEP because Montreal was a lot of good teams, but in terms of Montreal, my dad kind of had like a mindset which is you go over there, you get distracted a bit, you know, and there's a lot going on in Montreal, and you're young, you're living, you know, let's say you're playing basketball, but he had sent me at a prep school where it was like complete isolation, you know, like New Hampton was like, there was nothing around there. It was just straight in New Hampshire in the middle of nowhere, no parties, no going off. You'd have to have like permission to leave campus. So over there it was strictly like studying and playing basketball every day, right? So sometimes I'm not saying Montreal wouldn't have been a good opportunity, but I'm saying if you're isolated in a place where the only thing you have to do is play basketball and study, I feel like you're going to be a little more focused when it comes to basketball.
Yeah. So What was the biggest challenge, I guess, during your transition period, going from guardsman to the prep school?
I feel like the biggest challenge is the competition, right? Whenever you're in, Ottawa Guardsmen or wherever you're at, especially Canada, sometimes the competition level is a little less. And doesn't mean that there's not good competition, but once you go to the States, it's like on an every night thing, right? It's like every game you playing against somebody that's ranked. Every game there's NCAA scouts, there's Division I schools that come. So it's a lot more pressure, but just a lot more competition. So you just had to. It was like a transition, right? You got to get used to the competition, and after that, whenever you get used to it, you get more confidence. You start playing better.
Okay.
And for you, did you, I guess, scale right away, or it took you like maybe a couple weeks, couple months to, I guess, do
You
your
know,
thing?
yeah, it took me actually a couple months. I got over there. I remember my coach that took a chance for me at the prep school. Uh, he was like, after a couple months, I was struggling. He was thinking about like replacing me and sending me back to Canada, actually.
Oh,
And so he was just like, I don't think, you know, you're ready for this competition, whatever. And after that, I think it took me like half a season. And after that, I started playing well. And after that, I went over there another year. And after that, I would say like a solid 4 or 5 months just to get used to things. Right?
hmm hmm And during your, I guess, that final year that you were doing so well, what were you doing besides, let's say, outside of practice? What were you doing on your individual workouts that was making you get better, like the way you got better? Because I know that year you went off. So,
Yeah. So I just feel like in Canada is like my situation over here. I was working out and sometimes you got to do a little more on yourself, right? I had my brother that was helping me out with the workouts and stuff like that. But I had a coach over there, Coach Hutch, and he was the type of dude like, yeah, we'd have practice at 3, but we'd have like workouts at like 6 a.m., and it was like every day you have a workout at 6 a.m. And it's
mhm,
not like you have to go to the gym, you got to motivate yourself or you got to come up with these workouts. You have 2, 3 coaches waiting for you, waiting to work you out before you even go to class. So I feel like when you start doing that over and over again, maybe you're not going to see improvements in a week, but if you're doing that for a full year of workouts, 6 a.m. workouts, this is during the season, right? And we
mhm.
didn't really have nothing else to do. So it'd be me, my best friend, Zach August, and it'd just be in the gym, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. We lived like right beside the gym. You could walk to the gym. It was 2 seconds. So it was just working out, to be honest. It's not rocket science. You just have to put the time in.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. And can you talk about, you just talk about your brother. I remember your parents was always at every game. Your sister was always there. So can you talk about maybe how the support system that you had with your family, how it impact you?
For sure. With my family, I've always had a good team behind me. It could be at any level, even when I was younger I remember even college when I was at Boston College. My brother, I think every other game he was there. He would come up
Wow.
to Boston, he would come up to Duke, he would come up to a whole bunch of different places. And obviously, some people are lucky enough to have that, some people don't. You can still make it work, but for sure, just being surrounded by like a basketball family where it's like, or my sister kind of knows what I'm going through because she plays ball. My brother plays ball. My older sister plays ball. My dad played ball. So just having that type of family and everybody wanted to be at the games and encouraging and going a little crazy at the games when I was younger, it was for sure just extra motivation, I would say.
Okay. You just mentioned you went to Boston College. I would assume that you had many offers. Is there a reason why you chose Boston College?
I had a couple offers, but I had a tricky situation, right? Because
Mhm.
when I came, it's kind of like a complicated situation. But when I came from Canada, I graduated in, let's say, grade 11, right? So on
Yeah,
that cinq.
yeah.
And sometimes when you go to the States, most places got grade 12. But since I already graduated, it's like when I was in the States, they counted it as like a post grad year and would only count like credits for one class, right? So to get to college, you have to have like, I think from grade 9 to grade 12, you have to have X amount of credits, right, to
Mhm.
be able to qualify to
Hmm.
play Division I sports, But I didn't have that full year of grade 12 for some reason. It was a lot of confusion, right? Because most
Mhm.
of the people that go to, let's say, Canada to the States, there was a lot of guys from Toronto. In Toronto, it's the same school system, right?
Yeah.
Until grade 12, and after that, you go to college. So my situation was a little unique in terms of like a lot of people didn't really understand with the credits. And so I had a little issue with that, but I remember Dayton was looking at me. I remember Virginia Tech was looking at me. It was like a pretty good list of schools, but there was a lot of confusion with my situation in terms of like if I would be able to play in the first year because of my credit situation. Not because I was a bad student. It was just because since I already graduated and it's like I graduated from Gatineau, and I graduated high school again in the States. It was very confusing for them.
Okay.
So during that whole process, Boston College was like one of the schools that was like, even if you can't play, even if you have to retro your first year, we'll be committed to you. So, I took importance in that.
Okay.
Did you thought of maybe going to JUCO? Because we had Kenny, and he said the same thing because he graduated in Montreal, and then he had to go to JUCO. So did you thought of it, or you said, you know what, I'm just going right away?
Yeah, because I'm not too sure. I know did he go from he went from Montreal straight to JUCO?
No, Montreal to
Go
Carroll.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Carroll.
Carroll, yeah.
But
So
he graduated, and he said because of that he should have went like a year earlier. So that's why he went to junior college. So I was just wondering if maybe you
yeah,
thought
I
of
remember.
that.
Yeah, I remember my last year. I spent 2 years in prep school. My last year, it was kind of a situation where when these schools started coming and started knowing my situation, they had to like kind of go to the NCAA to talk to the administration to explain the situation. This is all happening while I was playing, right? So I was just trying to figure it out through the year, and I had a situation where I was talking to like University of Virginia, and they were interested, but I think they wanted to do something that I would leave after the first semester of my last year in prep school, and I would go to college, but not to play basketball, just to take some courses to basically prove that I'm a good student. And after that following year, I wouldn't have no issue in terms of playing. But I was lucky enough to have like Boston College just being my whole last year of prep school. They were just fighting for me, like trying to figure out the situation. And around the end, they figured out the situation. I was lucky enough to just, go to college, and after that, not have no delays.
Okay. So going to Boston College, you're in your first year now, and you did pretty good as a rookie. Again, rookie of the year. That year, and playing in a very tough conference. That year, could you just walk us through that year? What was your mindset like?
It was a crazy year, right? Because just in terms of just going to the ACC, right? There's a whole bunch of schools, right? UNC, Duke, the list goes on and on and on. So obviously Boston College was not one of the top teams, but it was kind of like the same thing. I was in prep school, and I was facing really good guys. And after that, you get to the ACC, and it's like a whole bunch of different animals, and a whole bunch of different competition. So it was just kind of like motivating for me. I feel like whenever you're around people that are better than you, or like, are you playing against Duke on this day? Are you playing against UNC? It just motivated me so crazy. And I got so focused where it was like every game I would get better, right? Maybe at the beginning I started a little slow, but by Christmas, by that time, I was like in my bag. I was playing good. I kept working out. And I feel like at one point, it's like once you get a routine and once you start playing good and stuff like that, you should never stop working out. You should always have some type of routine. It could be at prep school, it could be at the college level, it could be at pros, because sometimes some guys play good, they start getting a little lazy. But the grades, really, whenever you play good, you keep on, even if it's not necessarily working out crazy. Obviously you have to like adjust your workouts during the season. You can't work out the same way you're working out during the summertime. But just stuff like making sure you get your reps up with the threes, 50 threes, 100 threes, 200 threes a day, and make sure, your shot's tight. And after that, whenever you get to the game, it just makes the game so much easier.
Can you talk about the first round at the ACC? Your first game was against Georgia Tech?
Yeah, Georgia Tech.
The 41 points. I remember watching it.
So that was a pretty good game. It was like one of those games where it's like I felt like I would have closed my eyes and just shot the ball, and everything was going in, And it was funny, that game, because I think like the first 10 minutes of the game, I started very slow. I didn't really have that many points. I might have been in the single, maybe 5-6 points. And after that, closer to halftime, I just started going crazy. And after that second half, I don't remember what I had at half, but I know like the second part of the first half, and after that, the second half was just basically everything was going in. And I shot a good amount of free throws, but I shot a good amount of threes. And like I said, everything was going in, and I was feeling good. But even Georgia Tech, just throughout my career, if you look at my career in college, every time I played Georgia Tech, I played really, really good. So I think it started from that day, right?
Okay. You're so that year you get Rookie of the Year, and there's just some guys going to the NBA from Duke or UNC, or why did you think about declaring for the draft that year, or is there a thought, or?
Yeah, I think I thought of declaring for the draft that year in terms of, whenever you're playing good, whenever you having crazy games and stuff like that. But I just felt like since I wasn't winning, sometimes like it's good scoring points, right? It's good having like individual accolades at a certain level, but sometimes, winning counts, and I've always wanted to like that always bothered me, through my Boston college career in terms of just playing really good but losing, and that like obviously sometimes you're competing against teams that have unlimited resources in terms of getting players, right? And sometimes some schools are harder to get into. Some schools recruit certain guys and stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of go back and prove myself. And I felt like even when I was going back and proving myself, every year I kind of got better. Every year I think my first year I got rookie of the year. And I'm not sure if I was on a first team or second team or third team, but I think my second year I was on, I think the first team all ACC and stuff like that. But every year I got better. So I enjoyed the college experience.
Okay.
And yeah, like Seth said, your second year you got third team, and you were I think third in scoring, and you improve and rebound and assists, and then your third year you were first in scoring, and then you got first team. So how was that experience in your last year? And and also like because like you said, your team was not doing that great, but you were improving, and you were doing great. So were you frustrated sometime maybe?
I feel like, you're always frustrated, if you're a competitive person, it could be, I've never been a guy, like, obviously people see me as like, I score a lot of points and stuff like that. But even if you look at most of my games, right, I've never had games where it was like shot 25 shots, shot 30 shots. I've always been pretty efficient when it comes to just my shooting stuff. So for sure I was frustrated, man. It's like whenever you're losing, it's never fun. And sometimes you get individual recognition and that makes you feel some type of way. But in terms of if you just keep losing, man, you're just gonna keep being upset. And I just feel like after a while, that kind of just made me more hungry just to work to keep on getting better. So obviously it's not the ideal situation in terms of winning, but I still tried to focus in and just try to get better.
And just I was wondering, did you maybe thought, or maybe people in your circle, or maybe outside was telling you, you know what, you're good, go to another school, and I guess kill in another school? Like no.
Yeah, it happened to me a couple times. It happened to me a couple times, just that process of like, all right, well, you had a good solid first year, right? You getting all this attention, even maybe going pro or especially at that point, for sure I could have transferred, but I never liked the idea of like transferring and having to sit out, right? Because sometimes most guys in prep school, I know most guys in just college or high school in the States, they go from grade 12 and they go directly to college, right? So most of the time they're like, let's say sometimes they're like 18, they just turn 18, maybe they're 19. And I remember I went to prep school for 2 years. So it's kind of like I did like an extra year, like a CJEP type of year. And after, let's say I got to college when I was 19, and let's say I would transfer, sit out another year, I would have graduated, or I would have left there when I was 23, 22. So it was always kind of an age factor. Sometimes I feel like guys from like, I say Montreal because of the CJEP system, right? Sometimes guys can go to CJEP for 2-3 years, and after that you get to, maybe you want to go Division I, but sometimes age is a big thing when it comes to over there, especially the States, in terms of potential and stuff like that. If you're getting to the States and you're 21, your rookie year, and after that you're going to graduate by the time you're 25, it kind of messes you up a bit.
Okay. So after you're done you had an amazing college career. So now you're entering the draft. Can you walk us through the process of how that was?
Yeah, it was a crazy process, because sometimes, some high level guys will be like, they'll do one workout, two workouts. They basically know where they're going, right? Sometimes they work out and it's not even like a competitive workout where they work out by themselves, or they work out, they just do some shooting stuff and like the teams watch them and stuff. But my situation was like completely different. My situation was like, I worked out, I think, for like 22, I think 20 something teams, and most of the time when you're working out for that many teams, that's a lot of teams. But it's like, all right, Monday you have a workout with, let's say, with Boston. Wednesday you have a workout with Utah. Saturday you have a workout with LA, and all of this different time zone stuff. I was going from spot to spot. Go somewhere for one night, sleep. Next day you work out, and each workout is crazy competitive, right? Because most of the time you're going up against another 3 guards that are like, I was always placed with some really, really good guards that got drafted really high, but it was no breaks. Imagine just being on like a 4-week period where it's like you're just going from city to city to city, working out in front of everybody. And it's a lot of pressure, right? You want to perform, you want to sleep, you want to be fresh. But by the time you're on workout number, let's say 15, 16, your body starts breaking down. It feels like a mini season. But for sure, just that experience of, I made a lot of friends. I competed with a whole bunch of guys, met a whole bunch of NBA personnel, a whole bunch of interviews. So it's for sure something, special to go through.
Okay. Just to backtrack just a little bit, during your 3 years at Boston College, like you play in the ACC, so who would you say was the best guy that you had to guard and the best team that you had to play against? Just quickly.
That's a hard question in terms of the best team, because it's like, all right, let's say you're playing against Duke and you're playing. I remember Duke. I feel like the best guy that I went up against was probably Jabari Parker when he was at Duke, and Jabari Parker was unlimited skill set. He can post you up, three, whatever. And obviously we're not in the same positions, but we were going at it. But it's very hard to be like, all right, well, Duke was the best team, or UNC, because some of the top teams, let's say you talk about Duke, had a whole bunch of guys. UNC had a whole bunch of guys. Virginia had a whole bunch of guys, and they were like a crazy winning program. But you can go down the list. But I would say the best player was probably Jabari Parker, and I would say the best guard, I'll say Terry Rosen. He was playing for Louisville, and I got up to go against him a couple times, but he was small, fast, strong, can get to the rim, super athletic. So he was a pretty good guard.
I was getting bucket on you play against the guy, the defensive player of the year. Not what's his name? He played for Milwaukee, and now he's playing for Indiana. What's his name? Malcolm Brogdon.
Brogdon,
yeah, Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah,
Yeah, you play against him.
Yeah, so he was really good. He was one of those players, man. He worked, man. He came from, I'm not too sure where he came from in terms of like his high school or his come up, but he was never like a high profile player. But in terms of like when he was at Virginia, every year he got better, and every year the team was getting like, they were going to like the March Madness, elite, whatever, elite, Sweet 16, everything. So every year it was like they're in the mix in terms of like, all right, this team might win the March Madness and stuff like that. So I feel like with him, it's like even with the NBA, he started a little slow, but now he's like one of those guys, which is like a team is always going to need a guy like that. He can play defense, he can shoot the ball. He doesn't do nothing too flashy, but he's one of those guys that he does everything well. And whenever you have like a guy like that, and you have just those abilities and stuff like that, you can have a pretty long career.
Okay. A lot of kids here obviously play basketball, and they want to go down south and play in the NCAA Division I. Could you just, tell, to someone out there what it takes and how competitive, I guess, you played in the ACC, you're probably one of the toughest conferences, right? So how was it being part of the Boston College team, and the practices and the games and what you did on a daily routine,
I feel like once you start playing like college basketball, you have to have some type of routine, right? And if you're serious about basketball, you have to like kind of treat it as a job from an early age, right? Especially like if you have big goals, let's say NBA, play professional, make millions of dollars, you have to like have some type of routine, because sometimes like you can go to college and you can get distracted because there's so many things, sometimes it could be, parties, girls, whatever, but it's like, sometimes you get into situations where sometimes guys get in trouble, or guys kind of get unfocused, and it starts affecting their basketball, right? But in terms of just going down south, is like you just have to be more and more and more focused. Whatever you're doing at the level that you're dominating before, let's say it could be in Montreal, let's say it could be prep school, stuff like that, and you're going to the next level, it's like it's a whole nother animal, and you just have to lock in, treat it like a job. And if you show up every day, you're ready to work, you're ready to play, and you're ready to just compete, I think you'll put yourself in a pretty good situation in terms of after college, or playing professional in the NBA, playing professional in Europe, making tons of money. But it's very easy for young guys, when you're 18, 19, 20, to get distracted. And after that might be like, sometimes you get one chance, right? You get one chance to go pro. Sometimes you get one chance to play in the NBA. Sometimes you get one chance to making a living off of playing the game of basketball, right? So it's just becoming more and more and more serious about it, right? And all the other stuff, obviously, right? In terms of just working out, making sure you take care of your body. Taking care of your body is big, Maybe when I was younger, it was like we would just show up to games. AAU was like we would have one game in the morning, go to McDonald's, come back, play another game at night. Guys would go straight up 5 minutes before the game, 2-line layups, not stretch, and just be ready to go. But the more I feel like the more you start taking care of your body at an early age in terms of just doing certain things. Maybe you shouldn't take care of your body only when you're injured, right? You should have some type of routine, your basketball routine, your treatment routine, getting rest and stuff like that. And all those little things are going to add up to the bigger picture in terms of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And then well said. And then draft night, how was that experience?
That experience was unique, right? Because sometimes people go to New York and stuff like that. I didn't really after I think I had a workout the day before draft night. I don't know where I was, but I was working out because you can work out until the day or 2 days before. So I was all over the place. By the time draft was over, I was like, I just want to be back home with my family. Obviously, watch this draft. And kind of enjoy it like that. I was so dead tired, but it was a fun experience, obviously, with the family. I didn't do nothing crazy like a party or a gathering. It was more with the people that's always been a part of my career in terms of my parents, my sisters, my brothers always come to the games. So we watched the draft. I got picked 40 something, but the one thing that people don't realize with the draft, it's like a 2-3 hour process, right? So let's say you start with the first draft, you're there sometimes and you're nervous, right? You're watching, it's like it feels like you're watching the thing for 5 hours. And eventually I got picked. And obviously it's exciting, right? You get excited, it's like a whole nother chapter in your life, right? With the whole summer league stuff and meeting a whole bunch of people. I think I flew out the next day to Utah and had a whole bunch of interviews. A whole bunch of people hit me up, but I didn't have nothing too crazy in terms of a crazy celebration, but it was for sure enjoyable.
But did your agent or did team was telling you, oh, you might go first round, you might not get draft second round? Did you know you t'allais te faire draft or you didn't know?
I feel like at that stage, whenever you have a whole bunch of I was not one of those guys that's gonna go top 15 or anything like that, right? But you have an idea if you're gonna get drafted or not. It's not a thing where you're just watching the draft and you just don't know what's gonna happen. Obviously, there's situation. Maybe guys think they're gonna get drafted, and after that end up not getting drafted for certain reasons. But most of the time, you have right before the draft, you have a pretty good idea. All right, this team likes you. This team likes you. Okay, you're probably gonna get drafted and stuff like that. So I always knew I was gonna get drafted, because I had so many workouts, a lot of good workouts, a lot of good interviews. So that was my personal experience in terms of knowing I was gonna get drafted. It was not something super random, because I feel like if you get in the draft and it's a random thing, you're like, oh, maybe I'm gonna get drafted, maybe not. It's kind of a weird situation, right? But if you have a good agent and stuff like that, he's gonna give you a pretty good idea that you're gonna get drafted.
Okay. So you got drafted and you played in the summer league. You did pretty well. But then you went pro overseas after. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us why you probably didn't stay and play for the D League team or the G League? So
I feel like sometimes the D League thing, the G, well, now it's called G League, right? Yeah. G League is a lot better now, right? Well, with certain two-way contracts and stuff like that, they're starting to give a bit more money. But back around that time, G League was basically you're not making too much money, right? So around that time, it was okay, everybody has a different path when it comes to professionally, right? Sometimes you can look at people let's say PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker, I think he played 5-6 years in Europe before going to the NBA. And, I'm not too sure if he got drafted or not, but, some people go direct, some people go overseas 1 year, come back and stuff like that. But it was more I got offered a contract over there that was compared to what I was going to get, let's say playing in the G League or going to training camp and not being guaranteed a spot and stuff like that. It was hard to not take it, and obviously Europe is a whole different ball game in terms of just the style of basketball and everything like that. But I feel like once you start going professional, you start thinking about a whole bunch of different other things, right? You're not just playing basketball for free. It's not like college, it's not prep school. It's you start having to make some type of smart decision in terms of financially and stuff like that, because you got to support yourself. And that was the best move for me at that point.
So So how was your two first year there at the
Uh,
overseas?
yeah, I played. It was adjustment, man, because
Yeah.
every single situation overseas is very hard to be like if I tell you my situation overseas was like this, and somebody else might tell you completely different, right? Because overseas it's like somebody can be playing overseas and making $500 a month, and somebody else can be playing overseas and making 400, 300,000 a month, right? But both of them can be like, oh, I'm playing overseas, right? So it's
Yeah.
very like so many different situations. That's what a lot of people like, they don't understand that and they don't see that, right? But in terms of overseas, it's a whole bit different ball game, because sometimes let's say you go to a spot, they don't speak English, right? Let's say you go to a spot, the coach is not too familiar with your type of basketball, because European basketball is very different than, let's say, college or like the NBA. It's a little more X and O's and stuff like that. You have to think the game a lot more. So sometimes, let's say you're the fastest, most athletic, and you're dunking like crazy. Sometimes you go overseas and you look like a fool out there, right? Because over there, it's like guys are X and O's. It's like the point guards that come off of the pick and roll is like they make the right decision every single time.
Yeah.
Aggressive hedge, pocket pass. The guy's late, shoot it. All right, the guy's trailing, attack the rim. It's like I feel like once you get to certain leagues in terms of overseas, attention to detail is crazy, right? So if you're just used to just running up and down, dunking on guys, kind of the highlight reel stuff, you'll struggle, a lot. And I feel like I struggled, I had to, it's like an adjustment that you have to get used to, since let's say I was playing 3 years at Boston College, and it
Yeah.
was a lot more, let's say, spaced out game. You had a lot more space to operate. Overseas, they don't have that 3-second rule. So overseas, it's like, and the NBA is like, there's a 3-second rule, right? So
Hmm.
people can't be in the key for more than 3 seconds. So they
Yeah.
can't really like zone up on you. Overseas, people can be in the key for 4 minutes if they want. So it's like, all right, you're gonna beat one guy, and after another guy's coming up, you gotta beat that guy, and after that, you get to the rim, and after that, it's like so the spacing is so much smaller, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be so much quicker in terms of making a read or making a decision.
Uh-huh. So I guess when you're playing 2 years over there, you found out that you got the Utah Jazz contract
Hmm.
to the Spurs, and I know you went back and played for the D League team,
Hmm.
Austin Spurs, and you guys won that year, right? The
Yeah.
championship. Yeah. So how was that? I guess going from, did you think your game elevated going to the pro and coming back and playing for the Austin Spurs? Like, yeah, how did?
Yeah, I think I was a lot more confident, right? And it was like
Mhm.
we had a really good thing going on. It's kind of like the same thing. You can be like, every single situation overseas can be different, right? And in the G League, every single situation can be also different, right? I played for the Austin Spurs. Everything was super, super professional. We never took a bus to anywhere. We flew to every game. We had meals before the game, after the game. But you can talk to somebody else that played in the G League. It'd be like, well, we had 15-hour bus rides. We had to go overnight to drive to these. Some of these G League teams are not in like big cities, right? But sometimes you hear guys talking about the G League experience or the D League experience, and you're like, well, that wasn't my G League experience, right? So just going there, I had more confidence, obviously. But the one thing that I liked about that situation is like you can work on your game so much more, right? And I feel like when it comes to like American style of basketball, it could be college or it could be the G League or the NBA, individual training is like a very high priority. It could be off season, it could be in season. Sometimes when you go overseas, you have to, you're kind of on your own with a lot of stuff, right? So it's like you have to have a routine. It's not like guys are waiting for you or coaches wanna, like, some areas will work you out for sure, but it's not like in terms of the States, like when I was at the Austin Spurs, like we'd have practice. And after that, some days you just have like, we'd call these things these vitamins. So it's like you had a specific individual workout in terms of like for your strengths and weakness. And you'd have that every day. So like if you're bad at finishing with your left, every day they have you doing certain things, working on your left, right? Your jump shot, your three or whatever like that. So it was a lot more specific in terms of like, yeah, you were playing games. Yeah, you got the chance to compete, but also you got a chance to like improve your game throughout the season, which I feel like kind of like my prep school experience, right?
Mhm.
Is prep school experience compared to in Canada, where in prep school I had 2, 3 coaches waiting for me in the gym, ready to work. Same thing when it comes to a little more the American basketball. It could be Boston College, it could be the G League or NBA, that culture of like working out and focusing on getting better at certain things even throughout the season is high on the list.
Okay. And est-ce que des fois tu étais frustré? Because I remember I was watching your summer league game and you were starting, you were playing well. And then I know there's a lot of behind the scene, but there's some guys that I
Yeah.
felt like you were way better than them. And then they would, I guess, play with the Spurs and then get called. And my, I was like, hey, why Olivier is not on the team? And during the summer, he was playing better than that guy. So were you frustrating sometimes?
Yeah, are you talking about like the G League experience or the summer league
Like,
experience?
but now I'm talking about the summer league. Now I'm talking about the summer
Yeah.
league.
Yeah, so I think the summer league experience is a unique experience, right? Because a lot of stuff that people don't understand behind the scenes. It's like, and it's not like obviously you can get frustrated about it, but you got to understand that, like, let's say certain guys are playing on the summer league team have guaranteed contracts, right? It's gonna be automatic, even if, let's say, you're playing better or you have a couple better games. Sometimes they have different agendas for different guys, right? So sometimes guys have a little more slack or a little more, okay, he can make a couple mistakes in a row, but we'll still leave him out there and stuff like that. So those are the kind of little things that you have to deal with in terms of when it comes to the summer league or even when it comes to the G League. It's like there's always something in terms of, obviously you can play good and obviously you want to be like treated fair in terms of if you're playing good, if you're playing the best at the moment, you should get all the minutes. But I feel like in terms of those situations are more for like development and stuff like that, right? So it's less about like, let's say let's say a team doesn't really have no commitment to you. Maybe you're playing on the summer league team, maybe you're playing on the G League team, but they don't have like no direct commitment to you, like a long-term commitment. They don't really owe you anything, in terms of like, you could be playing good, you can be playing bad. Sometimes you'll be playing great, and after that one game, you're not gonna play type of thing. And it is what it is. And for
But
sure it's frustrating because as a player, sometimes you get a situation you're like, shit, I'm playing good, I'm competing, my shots going and everything like that. And after that, you're like, I wish I could play more. I wish I would get an extra opportunity and stuff like that. But it's not a thing to like complain about. That's just life, right? In a whole bunch of different situations. Sometimes you're gonna get an opportunity, sometimes you're not. You just gotta maximize whatever you get.
You're gonna say, Kenny?
no, I was just about to say that what was your mindset? Because if you in your head you're like, okay, because of all the behind the scene and politics, like every summer, I guess you go play for the I guess the Spurs summer league. But
Yeah.
are you thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go there, kill, and after that try to get a contract with the Spurs? Or in your head you're already like, you know what, I'm just gonna play and I already know I'm not gonna get the contract, but I'm just gonna get better and play for summer league team. Like, what's your mindset?
Yeah, I feel like the mindset with the summer league stuff is like, let's say I would play for the Spurs, right? But you got to understand everybody's there, right? There's every single NBA team that's there, and there's probably every single European scout that's at summer league, right? So it's not like, I never really thought about it as like too much like over analyzing and over stressing myself and stuff you can't control, right? You just try to focus on what you can control. And if you show up, you play good, and you try to do your best, it's not necessarily like, okay, well, if the Spurs doesn't give me an opportunity, or if this European team doesn't give me an opportunity, there's so many eyes, right? So I feel like as a young player, just as a player in general, there's so many things you're not going to be able to control. But if you're just dwelling on it and you're, oh man, I'm not getting my opportunity, oh man, this is just going to affect you more and more and more. And after you're going to play bad, you're going to look worse, So in terms of those situations, it's tricky, right? Because let's say a lot of people watch these type of things, right? And they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know the politics. They don't know anything, right? And sometimes as a player, you kind of have to block all of that out and just focus on like, yo, whatever's in front of you, right? All right, you have a game, you're going to prepare. Even if you play 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you're going to try to maximize it, But once you start doing maybe when I was younger, it was a little more, like, I should have got this opportunity and stuff like that. But I feel like the more you get like over that kind of thing, it get 30 minutes, you might get 10 minutes, you might get 15 minutes, right? And sometimes, let's say you play 15 minutes, it's not like a 15 minutes straight, It's like you might get in for a minute 50, and after that you'll get in 3 minutes, you'll get in 4 minutes, after that you get in 2 minutes. It's like very spread out, right? So if every situation that you have, and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have this guy's minutes and stuff like that, and after that you play and you have 0 points, 1 rebound, and you do nothing, eventually that's just going to have a negative effect on you, your basketball career, and just everything else.
Sure.
No, sure.
Also, I know that you played for Team Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You played since you were, I think, was since 2010. You played for the under 17, under 19, and the senior team. Can you tell us about the experience about playing for Canada and how it was a?
Canada was a great experience, right? It was kind of like the same kind of feeling that I had when I played against Team Quebec, right? Because let's say Team Quebec was mostly Montreal guys. All you good guys were on the team, and it was every year it was like the same amount of guys. It was kind of like the Team Canada was kind of the same thing. It was a lot of Toronto guys, right? There was never too many guys from Quebec that were really on the team. Obviously, there might have been, I'm not really thinking about it, but maybe a couple. But most of the time, it was like Toronto guys, this guy, this guy. So it was kind of the same thing. I kind of got an opportunity, just like I got an opportunity in my first year with Team Quebec to maybe make the team. I made the team, and we had a whole bunch of guys on the team, but it was a great experience. It was just like it opened your eyes to like worldwide basketball because, we were in different situations. I think we were in Germany and we won the bronze medal. And so it was at like one of the highest levels of basketball for that age group. And just sharing it with so many good players was for sure a special memory in my basketball career.
Okay. And I know you played for the senior team too, right? The senior team. How was that playing with other professional, I guess, Canadians?
Yeah, it's always crazy, right? Because I feel like Canada, like Team Canada, the one good thing about Team Canada is like once you kind of get in that like Team Canada, playing for teams and stuff like that, you always be a part of that team, in terms of just that group of players, So whenever like sometimes like we have summers where I go to Toronto, right, and they have like a setup over there for Team Canada certified athletes, right? We had trainings, we have 5-on-5, you can get treatments, you can get a whole bunch of stuff. So once you're in that kind of category, it's really good in terms of just off-season training and stuff like that if you're just in Canada, obviously. But, the senior team was good, but it was every time you're playing against a bigger and bigger team, different levels and stuff like that, you're going up against a lot of good guys. And, through my Team Canada years, I made a lot of good friends, and it's like you get to compete against so many guys that let's say sometimes you don't really know them, but you've seen them on TV, kind of like when you're in Division I sports, right? It's like just compete. So whenever you see them, it's all love. So it was for sure Team Canada. That's for sure just a great experience to just play. Obviously, represent the country, and obviously you have all the eyes on. But that's for sure a great experience.
Okay.
Are you planning on still playing with Team Canada the senior team?
Yeah. So like during the season, like so they switched it up, right? They switched it up in terms of like the different FIBA windows. So it's a little tricky now, right? Most of the time it was only during the summertime, and these last couple of years it was like a whole bunch of qualifications, right? So I had participated in it a few times, and after that this year I got invited to do it just through the season, but my body was a little banged up when I was over there. And sometimes it's tricky, right? It's like, let's say you're in a groove and you're playing your professional team, and after that, let's say leaving and going, I think now it was like 2 games sometimes or 1 game you would have to leave. I think it was in Dominican Republic or something like that they went. But this year my body was a little banged up, so I didn't go for that qualification. As now I was still invited to like the stuff this summer, but because of the whole Corona stuff, kind of slowed down things. But the way Team Canada does it's like a pool of players, right? It's never like whenever they send you the email, they send me an email for, let's say, this summer, right? And it's a pool of players, right? It'll be like 20 players. Obviously, there's way more competition now, right? And everybody wants to play in the Olympics. But, I was looking forward to this summer with just the training and stuff like that. And I kind of see where it goes. But now it's been put on hold for a year. And after that, so we'll see next year. But I don't think there's any more qualifications. But, they keep updating us and taking care of us, even through right now.
So what are you doing? What are you doing, I guess, to stay in shape during this whole pandemic thing that's happening right now?
So I feel like everybody's in a weird situation, right? Everybody's in a weird situation in terms of like, I don't know about Montreal, but there's not really gyms over here. You can't just go to a gym or just hoop. Most of the spots that I usually have over here are completely closed, and I think everything's closed, right? So right now it's just more like I always get to do like I have a nice little setup over here for weights, and stuff like that. And like obviously conditioning, you can run outside, you can run track work, field work, whatever, and stuff like that. So I try to stay somewhat in shape with that, you know, but obviously it's difficult, you know. It's not the same thing as like once you're so used to, okay, I can be in Toronto, okay, I can go to Carlton, I can go to different spots like that.
Yeah.
Now it's like everything's on pause. It's like you can't hoop, you know, or maybe you can hoop outside. I know a couple of my friends in the States, I don't know what's happening over there, but it's like some places like, yeah, they have open gyms. I guess they're a little looser with the rules over there, but I hope, you know, in the next week or so, I think things are going to start opening up and
Okay.
back to the routine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your plan for next year?
So right now I'm just kind of in the process. Everybody's waiting, right? And right now it's a weird situation in terms of just the basketball world, right? Obviously today I think they announced with the NBA that they're going to resume, but even the same thing overseas, right? I was getting ready to start the playoffs in like 2-3 weeks and get that started going. But now it's like with everything on hold, I know there's a lot of most leagues in Europe, let's say most leagues in Europe are canceled, but there's a couple leagues that are still trying to figure out if they're going to continue the season and stuff. So it's kind of a unique summer in terms of like most of the time, like right now I'm still playing, right? And after that you stop playing, maybe you chill for a month, and after that around like let's say end of like June, July, you start doing okay, this team wants me, this team. Obviously throughout the season, you're always gonna get interest from certain teams, right? But in terms of right now, it's just kind of like my agent's obviously talking to a whole bunch of different teams in Europe, but Europe is still kind of on a pause in terms of like like a lot of people lost money, let's say, right? NBA lost millions of dollars. Overseas, the same stuff. So I feel like a lot of European teams or just teams in general are kind of trying to see what the budget is going to be for next year. So before you know what exactly your budget is going to be, they're not going to, you can't really know how much money you can offer, right? And some guys, for sure, some guys are signing and stuff like that. But I feel like some teams are signing guys predicting what their budget is going to be, right? And maybe their budget is not going to be as low as they think, right? So sometimes, you know, everybody's different situation. Guys might be a little nervous and want to sign right away. I could sign right away, but I'm a little more patient with it just to kind of feel the market and just see, okay, who has this, who has that, and different opportunities, basketball coach, everything, right? There's a lot of things that go into it. But I should be signing probably, I would say in the next month or so. But
Okay.
you know, I'm not rushing too much with it.
Okay. Kenny, your game?
Just last one question
Last
before
question?
the game. I know you're still gonna play for another 8-10 years, but
Yeah.
what are your plans for after basketball? Just wondering.
I've always been interested in just business stuff, you know, and it's obviously hard, right, for athletes. Sometimes you get caught in basketball, but kind of like what you said, let's say I play for the next 8 years, you know, in the next 8 years I'll be 35, and 35 is still very young. So obviously you have to figure out stuff to do. But I think as basketball players, you have so much time on your hands in terms of like, I don't know, educating yourself on different stuff, right? If you're interested in stock market stuff or finance or real estate stuff, or there's so many different things you can educate yourself on through your basketball career, right? And I'm whatever I'm interested in money, right? And whatever gives me the most money, I'll be interested. But you know, I'm big on reading book and educating myself about just all types of different opportunities in terms of just real estate, stock market, and stuff like that. So I'm not as focused on it right now, but you know, you can always educate yourself in terms of, you know, instead of being on Instagram for hours, you know, you go on Google, you see a podcast, you know, you take a course online or you read a book. So, you know, whatever related to money, I'll be interested.
Okay, so my game is I just want you to name your top 5 player that you played with. So from PG to center, who was your top five player that you played with?
Ever.
Top 5 player that I've played with ever, or played against.
No, with.
Jesus, I played with a lot of guys. I would say my best center, Zach August. I played against him in prep school. I played with him in prep school, so I would put him at the 5. 4, man. That's tough, man. Well, I can say with the national team, right? Let's say I play with Corey Joseph, right? Corey Joseph be at one. Like in terms of just, I kind of look at it as like who is the most successful, right? So I'll say Corey's for sure in it. Bennett was a monster, and he's for sure in it. Who else? The best ever. I go with two more guys.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's tough. Well, I played with LeBron at the LeBron camp, but that's not really. But let me see. Overseas, who I played against. So I have Zach, Bennett, Corey, Andrew Wiggins. I would say, I played with him, and you also have to give respect to him, right, for what he's doing right now and what he's done throughout his career, which is pretty impressive. And
you can put yourself if you want.
No, I'll just pick somebody. I'll just pick somebody else. I'm trying to get another shooting guard. I would say, Jesus, you guys are putting me on the spot. Shooting guard. I'm kind of a shooting guard, point guard, but I'll put myself. Yeah.
That's good. This last game is called Start, Bench, Cut. I'm gonna give you three things. You got to start one, you got to bench one, you got to cut one.
Go ahead.
All right. So the first one is playing in the ACC, again, Rookie of the Year. So basically, yeah, I'll say that whole year, basically playing the ACC and Rookie of the Year. That's one thing. The second one is being getting drafted, because that's a lot of kids. That's the dream, right? And then the third one is, I guess, I want to say, but
Team Canada?
I guess, yeah, Team Canada. Yeah.
So ACC, my first year, drafted,
and
Team Canada. I feel like obviously it's cool getting drafted, right? But it's like it doesn't really mean nothing, Because obviously it's nice with the people hitting you up and stuff like that. But I've never had a crazy, I never put it on my top list in terms of achievements. So I'd probably say I would start for sure the ACC stuff, right? I would start, and I would get Team Canada, and after that, I would cut the drafting. But the drafting is I don't know, it's kind of weird because you have two basketball stuff and something that's basketball related, but not really me performing basketball wise, right?
Okay.
But I would have it in that order.
Okay, fair enough. All right, listen, man, we appreciate your time coming on here talking to us. I don't know if you know, but you've definitely helped pave the way in Quebec basketball, open doors to a lot of kids now that are playing, and I appreciate what you've done for the game, what you've done for not just Quebec but Canada, and just coming on here and sharing your story and your path. We know a lot of times a lot of kids all we see is the glitz and glamours, but we don't see behind the scenes, right? And this is why we want to talk to you, so you can share your insights of what you've been through, and I appreciate your time being on here.
No, appreciate you guys for sure having me, and obviously this is a good thing. You guys just started, but keep it going and keep having these guys and just keep pushing it.
Merci, man. Merci encore d'avoir accepté, man. Puis c'est sûr, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui vont regarder cette émission-là puis qui vont vraiment apprendre. So, merci encore.
No, I appreciate it, man. Well, whenever I come to Montreal, whenever this Corona thing comes down, we'll link up. We'll do something.
Yeah, for sure.
So listening, don't forget to subscribe. Once again, I'm Seth Amoa, aka SA.
I'm Kenny, aka KKL.
And stay tuned for another episode.